congrats on the show as well.
Yeah, it's like
Yes.
the biggest thing I've ever been part of. Apart from, well, like I know I've done my own film before, but like, as in, this is the longest amount of time I've ever been on screen as a character, and it's been a huge experience and massive leap in my career. It's absolutely amazing to be part of it.
Yeah, well, I spoke to Charlie on Friday and was telling him about how I'd watched the first 2 episodes, and it's one of those shows where I couldn't just sit and like watch them all together. I kind of wanted to wait and like pace myself, because there's a lot that goes on in those first 2 episodes.
Oh yeah.
Kind of changes the dynamics and things go on. I won't spoil it for anybody, but there's a lot that goes on. So was it an easy sell for you when you read the scripts for the first time? Was it an easy thing that you really wanted to at least try to be involved with, and then obviously get the job?
Yeah, like, I mean, the script was just so gripping. I mean, I remember just sitting down to read it, and then I didn't get up again, like, till episode 4. I got sent 4 episodes, and then I was like, oh, I need to pee. I just kind of was like, oh, I was in it. And I just thought, like, oh my God, this guy Peter is after writing something. So it was very assured or something. It was very confident about itself, because it had this kind of distilledness. It wasn't like a lot of words on the page. It was real, just like, I know who these people are, and each character, you could just feel this depth of history behind everything. And I think it's happening a bit more now in dramas, where you get more insight into what's going on behind the scenes for a character. It's like they have their mask front, like with all the other people, and then who they are behind closed doors. And I feel like this was one of those things, and that's why I got really interested, because I was like, God, Amanda's like, she's in this gang family, but why? Like, and how did she get there? And like, it was more about like questioning how she made those decisions in the first place, became such a young mother, and then is spending most of her time trying to keep her kids out of it. So I was like, she's very brave, like, to be in that family and then try and quietly be pushing her own agenda. And so yeah, it was really interesting right from the start.
Yeah, and there's a real sense to Charlie. There's a real richness in terms of the characters, because when TV is having such a kind of, I say renaissance, it's always been around, but in terms of the stories and the way that people are able to tell stories now, they tend to go to TV. And in the old days, it would be like, oh no, you're going to TV, that's the end of your career. Whereas now it's the complete opposite.
Definitely.
You can tell these amazing stories. And you must have been delighted when you saw Amanda, in the terms of the layers and her story, and like you say, the backstory that I may find out about as the episodes go on. I may not, but there must be a real excitement to that, to know, to spend that much time with a character when sometimes you wouldn't normally.
Definitely. Like, I felt like I felt like I'd spent my whole career going for TV jobs, not getting them, and then it's like the universe delivered the most incredible layered person to be discovering as I go as well. And I felt like I had something like the level of Wally White, like in Breaking Bad. Like, I felt like I had somebody that I will be digging about, and I still will be if I get to season 2. Do you know, that way? It was like, this is deep, like, and there's a history here, and it could go either way. There's many options, and getting to play with those subtleties and wonder what's behind such nuanced little moments. That was just seriously exciting. And also just that she gets to do so much. Like, there's just loads of cool things. Like, sometimes you go for parts and you're like, I don't know, you could find it, like, you could be going for a part that mostly they just spend their time in bed or something, or like in one room. It's like, Amanda's like out and about, she's running a car dealership, she's running a family, she's in the car, she's then doing crazy stunts, she's like, I don't know, like, getting involved in really tight situations and like meeting up with people that she shouldn't be meeting. It's all very like cool and mad, and like she wears such different clothes, and it all like develops as it goes. Like, so there was just the thrill of literally doing so much. Like, that was a big thing.
Yeah, I know. Even though you wrote your herself, which came out last year, you wrote that and everything else, and you wrote the character and her being a mum and everything else. But I mean, this is your career high now, right? Being a character that owns and runs a car dealership. That must be the thing that you aspired to all the way through.
You should have seen me try to buy a car in Dublin the last few months. I fucking gave up. They were all like, oh yeah. They were like, here's Amanda. Are you going to kill me if I don't give you a good car? I was like, oh.
Are you getting that reaction now? Because obviously it's aired in Ireland, isn't it? In terms of that.
Oh, it's aired in Ireland.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, I know it now. But I think I didn't expect to be like, it's weird. It's weird playing such a kind of, I suppose somebody that's quite business savvy and good at like screwing over the system a little bit. Like I had to do a lot of research for that to understand it myself. But it was great to play somebody that kind of runs things. Like she's running things in the background, but nobody really counts that as a real. Nobody values that in this family. They don't really value that. They're like, Amanda's in the background, she just cleans the money. But like anyone could really do that. But actually, it takes a lot of work, like, and a lot of clever thinking. So I think she's kind of undervalued at the start, and maybe she gets a bit sick of that.
That's what that was actually my next question about. That you see her at the beginning and you think she's the wife, she's the mum, you know, and all this stuff's going on, and she's trying to keep her kids from it. But actually, there's a lot more to her than maybe meets the eye, at least in the first couple of, which I like, because when you watch series like this, it's nice to unpick it like an onion. You know, the layers come out as you go through the episodes, and by the end, you're kind of like, crikey, she's gone from here to there.
Yeah,
it must be
but
great.
You don't notice that as it goes along. Like it actually feels like gradual and like a slow burn. And then if you just compare the first episode to the last, you're like, oh, that's a lot. Like, but I think that's. Sorry, what's the question again? No, see, I've lost track. But no, I think it was just doing her trajectory. Yeah, is a massive thing. Like, that was part of the attraction, definitely. And I hope it goes further. To be honest, I am praying to the gods that we are definitely green.
Fingers crossed, yeah. And also, you know what it's like to be Charlie now, given that he's Daredevil to a lot of people, and people have, you know, people are recognize him anywhere he goes for playing this one character.
Yeah, a lot of people recognize Charlie, but like he handles it really well. I learned a lot from being around him when he was getting recognized, and like Emmett as well, and Aidan Gillen. Like, I don't know, in Ireland when you get recognized, it's hilarious though. It's just like, you're your one, or kin. That they literally point at you and just say the word kin, or they say things like, you're the actor, and you go, yeah. They keep walking. There's no selfies, there's no autographs. Like,
that's actually strangely, that going off course, but it reminds me of a very funny story about Will Ferrell, where he went to a soccer game for his kids, and then he grew a moustache for Anchorman 2, and someone asked him, are you the actor? And he said, I think so. And he said, is that moustache fake? And he's like, why would I be wearing a fake moustache? just to hide myself. So
my sons,
yeah, the sons are really embarrassed because their dad's Will Ferrell. Anyway, but you touched on there about the cast. I mean, you've got Charlie, you've got Ciarán, who I see every day now because the posters for Belfast are literally everywhere in a minute. And obviously Aidan from Game of Thrones and a lot of other stuff that he's done. So it must be great to go into an ensemble like this, plus all the rest of them as well, because everybody has their moments. Everybody's characters is kind of, no one's trying to get the limelight. Everyone knows the kind of story and you know, how the characters are kind of going to evolve and work together and play off of each other. It must be great to be in an ensemble that's so strong like this one is.
It felt a bit like when you're part of a theater company or like a real ensemble, you know, like it didn't, like, I don't know, it just didn't feel like there was anyone that was like, oh, that's the lead. Like, it was just like, we are this family, and it was this like ensemble feeling. And I think we all very much felt bonded by actually doing, well, I don't want to give away things to the audience now, hang on. There was just some big family events that we all had to act in together, and it took a lot of work for those cameramen. Like, there's a lot to cover, there's a lot of coverage, and we all have to do things a million times over. But we all had to give each other energy then. And there was a lot of, like, when you weren't on camera, you were there 100% for the other actor. And I think we just had a rule that you were always at, like, you always gave 100% to the other person, or you did what was required for the shot. Like, obviously sometimes you'd be very close to camera, so you'd have to speak a bit quieter, but you'd be speaking with the same intensity to give that other actor everything they need. And like Aidan Gillen has like stuff where he's just gone mad at me, like, and I had to stand there and take it like 25 times, but I was always there, like, giving it loads back, like, you know. And he was brilliant to me. Like, he completely just gave 100% when it was on me, you know. Like, I think we were all very mindful of that, and that was cool.
Yeah. What was it like for you Irish people in the cast with Charlie's accent? Because he does he does an American accent really well, and he does an Irish accent really well. So I can imagine there's a thing in your brain that would tell you if it was bad, but he seems to pull it off really, really well, and you
I think
wouldn't notice that he was
I
from
think
London
it's
like
very good. Yeah, no, I think it's pretty good. Like, and he got nervous about it at different points, definitely. And he'd ask you things, but he'd be like, he'd just be honest, you know. And I wouldn't like Charlie isn't a method actor, but he kept in the accent the whole time he was on set. He just got his muscles into it, and I think that must be just what his method and what he does. And I think it's a really good idea, because there's like, if I was doing an American accent on a thing, I'd probably do the same. But especially if you're then doing a particular American, you know, like Minnesota or something like that, like you'd have to. I mean, you'd have to really, really go for it. So, I think he did really good with it. I think he got scared sometimes that he was going to the wrong place in Ireland with the thing. I don't know. Like, I think he was too hard on himself, because he had such subtlety in the accent that it's very hard to get. I've never seen anyone from England get the Irish accent the way he did.
Yeah, it is very, very good. I know him from, because he's a Brit, and you know, he's from I think he's from North London like I am, but straight away you're kind of like, oh, okay, this is Irish Charlie Cox. Very, very good. Very, very good. And you've seemingly had very good success so far. Obviously it's coming to the UK very soon. I know it's been in Australia as well, or it's about to come out in Australia as well, so it's kind of all over the globe. So you've talked about it already. So are you all keen to maybe go back? I haven't got to the end yet, but do you think there's kind of unfinished business that would hopefully lead into a season 2?
Yeah, I do. Simple. Yeah,
please.
But I am really excited it's available somewhere in the UK to watch, because like I was, like, me and Emmett were talking about the other day on the phone, we were like, God, I really hope it goes to the UK. We didn't know until just quite last minute, and it was like, oh, that's great. Like, at least it's just getting shown to our next door neighbors, which is really good.
Yeah, excellent. And for you, obviously you got your Berlin shooting star. Have you got anything else in the pipeline that you're able to talk about? Normally when I ask these questions, people are like, I can't talk about.
I'm kind of just writing, and I've just taped for a couple of things, waiting to hear back on them. The usual thing for actors, you know, we're always taping for things and doing bits bobs. But I'm a writer as well, so sometimes I just tip away and develop stuff in the background, and then hopefully in 2 years that manifests into something, you know.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, with Herself, which you had a bit of you were obviously part of, your film was supposed to come out during the pandemic, so you, like many others, had a bit of a kind of strange release, and you got it out, and it was, you know, independent film anyway. But you must be delighted that people have not only gone to the cinema to see it, but have seemingly embraced it quite well, because from what I've seen, people have had nothing but praise for it so far.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, it went online and is available to stream now since I think the 17th there. So I haven't checked what the response has been really now, but I don't even know how to do that stuff. But I just know that, like, there was a lot of questions about when is it going to be online, because when it released in the cinema, it was kind of September, October. It was probably when it was still limited capacity, or people were a bit nervous. But we did well in the cinema, considering, in Ireland anyway. I'm not sure about I can't remember the thing for UK, but it just got a really nice response. And it's probably just because the story happened to hit on things like redemption and kind of community, and what it means to be a neighbor and be aware of what's going on in people's houses, even if they're afraid to tell you. And for anyone who's not seen it, it's basically Herself. It's about a woman who leaves a violent partner, but then goes on to build a house for herself, and a new community forms around her. And I just think there was a new resonance with our need for each other and our presence in each other's lives physically after the pandemic. And I kind of love the fact that Herself sometimes just hit on some notes there a bit more harshly than we expected, like in a good way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, from what I heard, it did go down very in the limited capacities and everything, the same with every other film that it went down. Yeah. Particularly in the picture houses that are obviously, you know, they're quite big in London, seem to go down very well.
That's good.
So that's good. So I look forward to what you do next. That's exciting.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, good luck with the show, and good luck in Berlin. I hear it's lovely.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for your time. Pleasure. Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey!